But it was a case of what could have been in the FA Cup. Frustrating night, just very, very frustrating. The Man City match, folks, coming to Newcastle fans, so make sure, if you want to, you stick around. Tell me, ma, I'll probably be home for tea. Might even ask whether we can have Chinese tonight. Welcome back to Black White Banter, you lovely Newcastle fans, and I am coming at you with some lovely sunshine. Just waiting to get picked up to go down to the Etihad. And look, if the weather is to be glorious today, that might put a bit of gloss on what most people are expecting to be the inevitable. There's not many people travelling down by train, car or bus today in expectation, maybe just a bit of hope. And that old classic cliche, yes, there's one coming, the magic of the cup. I said on the preview, the one thing I want to see today is a much bigger improvement in performance than what we saw on Monday. Monday was not good enough in energy levels, it wasn't good enough in discipline, it wasn't good enough in effort. And those are three things I've never really talked about under Eddie Howe, and that really surprised me and also concerned me. But I'm just waiting to get picked up by someone I think everyone on these videos now recognises. So I'm just about to get me sandwiches, me cans, and you name it, everything else in the car and make our way down to Manchester. And we are let's not forget, we are one game away from booking a very cheap, nasty hotel in London and hopefully some cheap trains, because we might, emphasis on the word might, be going down to Wembley, but I'm going to bring you along with us anyway. Oh yeah, lads!
Oh, me lads, you should have seen us gunning, passing the folks along the road just as they were standing. All the lads and lasses there, all was smiling.
Right, Kai, are you confident today?
I think the 2-0 went 2-1.
How many beers have you had though?
Too many vodkas.
So have you already started looking at Wembley hotels or what?
I've been looking at booking.com, whatever it is.
Are we going to sneak a European place this season or what?
I'm confident.
Are you just way more confident because you've drunk too much? Or?
Yep, that's the one. I'm confident because I've drunk too much.
Who's scoring first?
Alexander Isak, Hannah.
To say the bleeding races.
Well, give us a prediction, Tyler. 3-0, the 2. 3-0 at Man City. How many drinks have you had?
What?
How many drinks have you had?
Oh, I don't know.
900. Would you have said the same answer before them drinks, or what? Would you have said the same answer before them drinks? Come on, what's your prediction?
2-1 the Mags.
Everyone's going to win.
All out Newcastle 2-1. But not to lose this group on it.
What's your prediction?
4-3 on Newcastle. 1-1 in the game. How many goals? Where the fuck
You weren't saying that last night.
Now Marino.
Oh God!
We're
just in the car, just heading over to the Etihad. We've just been to the Rochdale Social Club, as you've probably just seen on this video. Absolutely bouncing as it always is. There is going to be some absolute states in that away end today. One of them, who's not going to be a state, is the Call Dog, who's living off the fact that someone came up to him and told him that the Call Dog is the best person on this channel. I think he's still...
That's right. The one that talks the most sense.
Right then, go on, Colin, give us your predictions. I think there's been a bit of a change in the car since first thing this morning. I think that there is not one person, correct me if I'm wrong, who's thinking that we're going to lose this, which is...
I think you have to go here and just think there's no hope, but go and enjoy the day. But after the result of what's happened already in the first game, it sort of gives you that little bit of hope, because, you know,
right.
Win this game today, you'd pray to get Coventry in the next round, wouldn't you?
Yeah. I mean, Coventry doing what they've just done at Wolves as the underdogs. We're in the same position, as daft as that sounds, because it's Championship against Premier League in that match. We are going against the quadruple winners, the best game in the world. Right, so score predictions.
I know.
Big sigh
But
there.
I'm never going to go against my club, am I?
No, we
and I'm
don't
going to
travel
go.
for that
I'm
reason.
going to go for a cheeky 1-0 win.
A clean sheet.
Thanks, Matthew.
He hasn't even been drinking.
If anybody's metaphorically just kicked me straight in the balls, it's you. I'm going to stick with it. I think if we can be as defensively good as we have been in previous games and the start of the season, for instance, and last season, I think we could do really, really well. But overall,
You're asking a lot
yes,
there.
I know we're asking a hell of a lot. But if you don't ask a lot, you don't get.
And your playing style today?
Oh, definitely 6 at the back. No,
Right.
I would be playing a lot at the back. I'll be playing.
So would you go defensive
breakaway.
today?
Very defensive.
Right.
Very much a Rafa setup today.
Right, okay. Right, so 1-0. Sam, you going to give us a prediction in the back?
I think we'll win 2-1, but
2-1 win.
not that hopeful, but
Hey, you backed a 2-1 win. That I'll take that. Who's going to score first?
us. I think Isak will get a goal, and then we'll get a set piece header off like one of the defenders, and then they'll get a goal, try and come back, and then we'll defend just for our lives.
There you go. You've heard it, Dave. Honestly, I really hope I'm sharing that at the end because that's right. And Davey, what's your prediction?
I'm parking the bus and I'm going for a 1-1 draw.
1-1 draw.
Could go to penalties. I'm saying extra time penalties. I don't know, but and I've just heard Chris Wood has just scored at Nottingham Forest. Some miracles do happen.
There we go. Miracles do happen.
I think that Coventry result just proves that it's not beyond us. But hey, just fingers crossed, really.
No one in the car is backing us to lose at this
Stop
football.
hold on a second.
All right.
What's your prediction?
I was kind of hoping. I was kind of hoping nobody would ask.
Come on, have a serious talk. What do you think? We come down here because
yes, I agree.
Enjoy with, don't you?
I'm going to stick to the one I did in the preview. I have had a couple of beers in the Rochdale Social Club. Not enough to come out with a ridiculous answer. I'm going to go for a draw in normal time, and I think extra time would probably be tasty because of Man City's squad. So I think it's going to be a high score draw. For some reason, that game at St James's when it was 3-3 last season, that crazy game. I don't know why I feel like it's going to go that way today. We concede a lot, but I feel like we might score a lot today. So I'm going to go for a crazy draw and then maybe penalties. I couldn't cope. Penalties to get to Wembley, I could not cope. But we are close to the Etihad. Let's get in there. 7,000 Newcastle fans. I hope there's a bit more of a chant than Sandro, ole, ole, ole. My God, if there is one song I am sick of, it is that one.
Anthony,
Gordon, make the Geordie sing, Gordon. We're all going to the Etihad. Right, let's see you in there. Away Eddie Howe's quarter-final match. Oh, there's half scarves everywhere.
Oh, me lads, you should have seen us gunning, passing the folks along the road just as they were standing. All the lads and lasses there, all with smiling faces, gunning along the Scotswood Road.
Right, what are we doing?
Right, what are we doing, Hannah? What are we doing? Right, Hannah, we experienced it. What's the atmosphere? Oh, sorry, what's the atmosphere going to be like? That's a bad question. What's the score going to be?
I don't know, because deep down inside, I always had this feeling that we might get something.
Of course. What?
I don't know. I'm going to go 1-0 Newcastle with like some sneaky win. I've got to be optimistic. Got to be.
Who's going to score first? Who's going to score first?
Well, if we're 1-0, I'm going to go Isak. Isak 1-0. I'm going out.
So we're all going to Wembley?
We are going to Wembley!
Right then, just back in the house. Thankfully, obviously, Manchester's not a very long trip back, although the traffic coming out of Manchester was pretty bad. And look, I'm not going to be looking at hotels, unfortunately, tonight on my phone. I'm not going to be digging out a cheap train down to London in about 3 or 4 weeks' time to go to Wembley. That's frustrating. That's another season that Newcastle United will not be lifting a trophy, but as Newcastle fans, we are pretty hardened in being used to that, and it's, you know, I think we can last another year at the very earliest. Look, how did I see that match tonight? Frustrated we haven't done more. Frustrated we haven't scored a goal. Frustrated with the manner of the goals. But generally speaking, I think everything that happened tonight was expected to happen. I mean, you know, some of the predictions on this video earlier, almost every Newcastle fan I spoke to said that they thought Newcastle were going to win. But deep down, every single person who said that knew that probably wasn't going to be the case. And, you know, alcohol in, wits out in some of the cases of those interviews, of course, because it's an away day. But you don't go down otherwise. Well, you wouldn't have traipsed over in the car and paid £30+ a ticket unless you had a bit of hope. You have to win a cup game. We did. But it wasn't meant to be. Performance-wise, look, let's just dissect this as much as I can. I'm tired. I want to go to bed. It's been a long old day, as they always are. Eddie Howe changed things. He did. And I've seen so much criticism of Eddie Howe, and it frustrates me, some of it. You know, Eddie Howe out images being made on Twitter, and a lot of these people, in my opinion, aren't fans. And I'm not saying you can't have an opinion on him as a manager, and I'm not saying he's done lots of things right, but supporters, the clues in the title a little bit, and there's been lots of calls of Eddie Howe being too rigid in his formation. Well, he changed things tonight, and in my opinion, the way he set up, I could see what he was trying to do. And if you look at the chances Man City have created across the match, one of the best teams in world football, who do not lose football matches at home, and Pepper goals, and Haaland normally has a field day, and Foden normally has a field day. We've come out with that all right. I think a lot of people fancied us to get battered, and the record suggested that. Our record at the Etihad, our goals against record being as bad as Sheffield United, which is ridiculous. And I thought we set up different. And Eddie Howe said in his post-match that the way we've played Man City already 3 times this season, he wanted to do things a little differently. And I get that because, you know, a predictable team is sometimes easy to play against when you've got the quality of Man City. And the 5 at the back with the wing-backs with Jacob Murphy, I thought he put a good shift in. And the way we set up with Isak and Gordon a little bit more central, if we'd had more quality, not panicked on the ball, might have done something else on a different day. But Man City, the only frustrating thing for me, well, not the only frustrating thing, the second half performance frustrated me because, yes, the 2 goals were unfortunate. But what I will say about the 2 goals is Eddie Howe saying that the gods are against him. And yes, the deflection is ridiculous for the first one. I'll talk about the second one in a little while. But for me, Newcastle United of last season do not allow Bernardo Silva to have as much time on the edge of the box. Joe Willock should be busting a bollock to get over to him, to stop him having the option to get a shot off. And we're just not seeing enough of that this season. And that's a concern for me. And we could have done more. Yes, the look behind both goals is ridiculous and it's frustrating. And Bernardo Silva's face when he scores the second is almost like, my God, two in a game. And Pep Guardiola said the same after. I've just watched his interview. He basically said, look, both Bernardo Silva's goals were deflected. They had the fortune, and that's the last thing you want to surrender, and the last thing you're hoping that's on your side if you're going to get anything from a place like the Etihad. It wasn't. But our reaction in and around the box to him getting those shots off, in my opinion, is not good enough. And Eddie Howe's team of last season, the energy levels, the intensity, would not have allowed that to happen. And I'll talk about Joe Willock's performance in a little while. And then you've got Alexander Isak's chance just before half-time. That is a huge moment in the game. I've watched it back. We maybe's been a little bit critical to say that he definitely should score. I understand people who would say he would because he's a striker and that's meat and drink. But it is also a good save. He hasn't gone straight down the middle. The keeper's got over to his left and he's made a decent stop. And that's a big moment. In the second half, for me, we were just too passive. Was the stuffing out of us in a place mentally for the players that they knew was already going to be hard to come to, and then being 2-0 down at half-time? We never really got going in the second half. Man City did not have to come out of any new gear to just go through the motions and wait for the full-time whistle. And that was frustrating because I still expected a little bit more, because 2-0 in any football match can be dangerous. Now, Eddie Howe made changes in the second half. And again, a frustration from me is that Lewis Hall actually looked pretty good. And the fact that we haven't seen him and Eddie Howe's publicly come out and said that he's not quite ready just adds more confusion that he's capable of bringing him on, and also bringing him on to look okay in a very difficult match away at Manchester City. Longstaff, for me, should not be on the football pitch. I said in the preview and the build-up to this game that the fact he's playing with injections in his foot, we now know, makes no sense when we've got players who can step in. I thought Miley, in his time on the pitch, did way more. He rustled a couple of feathers. He made a great run where he was unlucky when he was offside. And Elliot Anderson, I thought, looked really sharp. Longstaff is just watching games go past him, in and around him, so lethargic, so slow to make a movement, just not really in support of any kind of attack like he was, like we know he was last season. And he needs to come out the side. I know we've got a 2-week break, which I'll talk about at the end of this video. He needs to come out because we now have players, for me, who've done more in their time on the pitch than what he's done. So yes, my point is, I am not going to stand here and say that I think everything that Eddie Howe does has singing and dancing all over it. But what I am going to say is that the expectations that this football club have amplified a million times by, guess who? Eddie Howe. And I mean, we're playing tonight, basically, in my opinion, with 3 players who are not fully fit. They aren't. I genuinely don't think they are. Longstaff I've already talked about. Joe Willock, I did a video about his importance to what he brings to this Newcastle team. Him and the likes of Joe Linton driving the ball up. Against Chelsea, I thought he was nowhere to be seen. And tonight, another formation change I don't think helped Willock. He's so used to being part of a cog in that 4-3-3 system. In this 5... with 2 down the middle, I thought he looked a little bit lost, but also his energy levels weren't there. What you need against a Man City team is players who are going to drive the ball up the pitch and really get in and around the box, and that wasn't the Joe Willock we saw tonight, and it was amplified by the way he was so slow to get out for that first goal, as I've already mentioned. So he, for me, has come back. He looked good against Wolves, everything we've missed, and against Chelsea and Man City now, he's looked like this Dubai break could come at a good time. And the other man for me that I think goes totally unnoticed in everything he's doing more recently because of who he is and how much of a good player we know he can be is Alexander Isak. Alexander Isak, to me, does not look right at all. There's balls where he's not really busting along to get on them. He's not as sharp in and around the box. He's not as sharp at taking a man on. And sometimes I feel like we're barely playing with the Alexander Isak. We all know Anthony Gordon can do no wrong and looks sharp as a dart. Alexander Isak, on the other hand, looks half of that. So there's 3 players that I just do not think are fully right. And when you go in a match like this, where all the odds are against you, you need to be fully firing on all cylinders. And Eddie Howe made that quadruple sub, which was brave, I thought, in my opinion. And a couple of them players looked really bright. We've now got a 2-week break. Look, no tears are going to be caused by that result tonight. We went down in hope more than expectation. We out of the cup. Big deal. We move on. Nothing new for us Newcastle fans. But what I wanted to see from that match was more energy and more commitment than what I saw against Chelsea on Monday, which I thought was unacceptable. I saw that tonight. The first half, we did have our moments. We had a couple of moments in the second half, but all I'm seeing at the moment is a Newcastle team who are absolutely sapped in confidence. Dan Burns' decision not to shoot in that second half, in and around the edge of that box, just amplified exactly where this Newcastle team is right now. We borderline on fragile. And we are going to go on a break now. I genuinely believe, as much as some fans, more old school fans might say these players should not be sunning it up in Dubai, Eddie Howe will have them training in that period. I think it's what we need. We've got a fair few players out on international duty. And when we get back, in my opinion, there is still a lot to play for this year. I've got no doubts about it that 8th place with the FA Cup in mind is going to be a European place. We can finish there. But the week when we get back, West Ham at home, Everton at home, Fulham away in 7 days, makes or breaks our season. If we come back and we get 7 points from 9 in 7 days, we are all systems go. With Sheffield United at home, with Brighton at home. Our fixtures are quite favourable. Man United, who are in and around us potentially by then, to play away. There's so much still to play for, and we can still be keeping our passports at the ready. Tonight, I wasn't happy with that second half. I was very happy that Eddie Howe decided to change, and I could fully see what he was trying to do. I'm going to stick with this group of players because I just feel like it's been one thing after another. Of course there's going to be question marks. Of course things can be questioned. I thought there was some good performances out there, but we were just beaten by what is, generally speaking, the much better side who were able to dictate things and helped by a lovely little dollop of luck. But I still think we could have been better in areas. On to next season we go in hope of ever lifting a trophy. As I've already repeatedly said now, that's nothing new. But what I will say is the man of the match tonight was that Newcastle support. I've been very questioning of Newcastle's away atmospheres this season through a mixture of corporate tickets and whatnot. We were fully singing for that full match and some really old school chants. We were the man of the match tonight. We were the 12th man. It's just a shame that couldn't be replicated as much on the pitch. And I tell you what, if Newcastle, if getting success comes at a cost of what I saw in the Etihad from the home fans tonight, I'm genuinely questioning whether that's what I would ever want. And some of you might laugh at that. What I witnessed tonight was the worst home atmosphere for a team going to Wembley in the Champions League semi-finals, going after the title, already won the Carabao. It was an embarrassment. They were leaving early and they did not make any noise for 90 minutes. It scares me that that's what a team can become. Man City have still got a fair bit of tradition before they were taken over. I'm going to sign out on that one. Well done to every fan who travelled down. Keep the faith, Newcastle fans. A lovely little break for us all to regroup. I'll do a video dissecting things a little bit closer over this little break that we're on. And that big week coming up needs every single one of us to get behind them. We gave it a go tonight. That wasn't exactly how some people thought that match was going to go. We live to see another day, but just not in the FA Cup, unfortunately. I've told my mum that I'll be home for tea. I'm just going to go downstairs and eat it before I go to bed. Keep the faith. Away the lads!